I'm Dave. This is the Cyderbaby pod. I'm speaking to Keith from the Petal Falls. Hello.
Hi. Hi, Dave. It's very nice to be on the show.
Oh, thank you very much. You're looking well, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope so. It's not the best time to be looking well, is it? With everything that's going on.
Oh, well,
it's suspicious.
Very true. People will be looking at you very suspiciously. Right. You've got quite a history with music. I mean, the Petal Falls is not a new band, is it?
No. The Petal Falls is actually a band that was formed in the 90s by me, originally to be a performance vehicle for the music I was writing. And I had a few friends that played guitar, drums and stuff, and what better than to have them be your band? And we formed the band and we called it the Petal Falls after the corruption of a Rudyard Kipling poem. So we got together. We started playing around the local areas in Kent, and we got picked up after about 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years, by a mid-table label. You know, nothing really, not massively big, but enough to affect your life if they let go. We got signed originally to a 5-year deal, and they didn't just sat on us. So we recorded and recorded and recorded, recorded tons of music, and nothing was ever officially released in those 5 years. And there was so as I mentioned once before in another interview, at that period in the music industry, it was prevalent that bands would get signed up if they were rivals to bands that labels already had pumped money into.
Yeah.
So we were very much rivals in their minds to a couple of bands they'd already signed, who they put a lot of money into. And the easiest way to shut us up was to sign us and then do nothing with us. During that time, that became very, very, very frustrating. You can imagine how frustrating that was to just record and not have anything. We weren't even really being allowed to play gigs. They didn't want to do gigs and all sorts of stuff like that.
Right.
And eventually, that led to the demise of the original Petal Falls, the original band. And I left the music industry after it being my one sole aim in life.
As many do, yeah.
Become a professional musician. And walked away from it, totally disgusted about the way we'd been treated and the lies and the stuff that went on. And I'd signed quite a poor deal, which really left me with no options because they controlled the music. So I just walked away, and for many years I just got on with my life. And then about 4 or 5 years back, I was contacted by the PRS, who told me that my publishing, the rights to all my music had been returned to me by the publisher because the publisher and the record company had disappeared. They'd gone.
Okay.
Gone under. Yeah. So all the rights that they owned now had to go back to the original owners. So I was left there with a quandary of what to do with all this music, 50 odd songs. What do I do with it? So I contacted the old members, the ones that I could contact, and spoke to them. At that time, I met up with one of my really old friends, a guy called John King, who was my first ever drummer for my first ever band. When we were kids, we were knocking around in South London, playing in pubs and clubs, 16, 17. But he'd become a very, very good engineer. He ended up working for Olympic Studios and Virgin Townhouse, and he's recording people like Elvis Costello, Rory Gallagher, Gary Moore, people like that.
Right.
So he worked for some really big people, and I said to him, what do you think of this? So he listened, and he just said to me, he said, man, why has this never gone out to anybody? Why have you never released it? So I told him the story. He said, I'll tell you what we'll do. He said, we'll go through it, we'll sift through it, and we'll pick out the best tracks. We'll master it all properly. And then you can make a decision on what you want to do. So that's what we did. We spent 18 months or so picking through it all, adding little bits here and there. and we chopped the songs up into four good albums.
Right.
First one was released in 2020 called Working All Night, Working All Day. Got a lot of critical acclaim, got a lot of interest, got a lot of streams. And then I released the second album called All These Years this past September.
Yeah.
Which you probably heard. And again, same type of thing. Got lots and lots of interest, lots and lots of people. It's constantly on. Our music seems to be constantly on the radio. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see just how many radio stations are playing it, and that's just Facebook. I'll go to Twitter, and our stuff is being hit up every single day, which is incredible. You know, for a band that nobody's ever heard of, and a band that play 90s music. Although when we mastered it with all new technology, with digital technology. So when you listen to the music has that 90s thing about it, but because it's all been mastered digitally, it sounds new.
It does indeed. I've got to say, yeah.
So it throws people out, and they think, wow, but it doesn't change my writing. So we've got I write like that now. So we've got another album coming out this later on this year in the fall.
Yep.
As the Americans like to say, which will probably be late August, early September again. And then we've got a final, what I call legacy album from the original band, coming out in 2023. And then after that, I've written another album, which I've got to finish the vocals for. We're going to be mixing that sometime next year. And then I'm on with writing another album after that.
There's no end to your creativity, obviously.
Well, you know what? I haven't done it for a long time, so there's just tons of. Once I've got back into it, it's just tons inside me, and you don't realise. And I didn't realise just how much I love doing it again, and I do. It really does give me that buzz, and I've never felt I'd have that, and also I'd never felt that I'd be in a position where people like yourself would be having me on a radio show talking about my music and talking about the music that was created with the Petal Falls, the albums that have been there. And, I know that it's all digital these days, which is scandalous, really, because, it deprives a whole generation of the loveliness of artwork, album artwork.
Yeah.
And I've now got into religiously releasing CDs and USBs. So my wife came up with that idea. Strangely, I don't own a CD, a CD player. So
I'll flog them. I just don't want them. I'll flog them though.
So I've got the CD, and I walked around the house like, where's the CD player? Oh, I'll put it in the car. Went out to the car, I ain't got a CD player, but I've got a USB stick. So I went back to so she said to me, we're just going to see if they'll do a USB stick for you. So I went back to the distributor and said, can you do this as a USB? He said, mate, we can do whatever you want us to do. So now you can actually buy the album with all the artwork in a in a little USB case with a stick. But the stick is much better, I suppose, because we've put all the artwork, all the videos, all that stuff on there as well as the album. So it's the best of both worlds, really. But like I say, it's scandalous that the streaming just denies people the love of my generation, your generation probably, going through a record shop, thumbing through it, looking at the lovely album covers.
Yep.
It's just fabulous, because you always knew when a band was coming out with a new album, you couldn't wait to see what the album cover was and what they had in it. And the other thing I think is scandalous is that people don't get the opportunity to see just how many people are involved in making an album because there's no credits.
Absolutely.
Now, so on our next album, all of our albums have a full list of who wrote all the songs, has a full list of everybody who was involved in the recording, producers, all that sort of stuff. So people don't get to see all that, and it's a shame, really. It's a shame because I think it's a much maligned format. And I think the record companies were a bit hasty in getting rid of it. But you know, all of a sudden, it seems that Sony and Warner Brothers are talking about bringing back vinyl and maybe CD.
Yes, I did read an article last week, I think, that CDs are now becoming fashionable again. Just
Yeah,
mainly as a way as merchandise and for bands to earn a little bit of hard cash.
I think that, but also I think that were they really ever unfashionable? The only people who made them unfashionable were the record companies.
Yeah. To be honest, I still buy CDs to this day. I sold my vinyls to buy more CDs. Right or wrong, but I can rip a CD and put it on a computer and listen to it whenever I want. But I've still got that physical CD with that bit of artwork, and like you say, a little bit of information on there. So
it is. So Michael Patrick Joy, who said to me, he said, "Oh, my wife," he said, "she's been going on and on about having a little turntable." So for her birthday, he bought her a turntable. Yeah, and she dusted off all these old vinyls from out of the loft, and he went down and put them all on. And he said, "I just couldn't get past the cackle." So he said, I just said to her, "No, we need to get a CD player." So I think vinyls, they are. I mean, it's great that you got, because they're such big things and there's get loads of artwork and stuff on them. But I think that if I had a preference, it would always be CD. Just the quality of it.
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be
for me
than an MP3.
Yeah, for me, vinyl great to look at, but I don't really want to get out every 20 minutes to turn the thing over. I'm just lazy.
You used to buy those ones. You could actually pick it up, turn it over for you.
Yeah,
but they were way too much expensive.
I had an Armstrad turntable. It was actually upright, like that. That was quite unique until it got stuck one day and the needle wore a hole through the actual vinyl, which really upset me.
Absolutely.
But that's Mr. Sugar for you. Okay, let's go back to the album. All these years. This came out in September last year. I was supposed to do a review. I never got around to it. My apologies for that. I've done it on public view, so yeah, I'm covered now. But tell me about the album. Tell me about that album in particular and why people should listen to it.
So the album is representative of quite a few styles of music. So that when you listen to a Petal Falls album, you won't necessarily get what you get on an AC/DC album. You buy an AC/DC album, you pretty much know what you're going to get. You know?
Yeah.
The same as the old Van Halen. You pretty much know exactly what you're going to get. The way I write is I tend to write in the same genre of rock music, but I tend to write with lots of different styles. And you don't quite know. I think that's one of the things that you know the sound, because I think our sound is. I don't pretend that our sound is unique, but we spent quite a long time putting it together with all the guitar work and the keyboards, and there's a lot of production goes into a Petal Falls song, and I think if you listen to our songs, you'll hear that on there. We're not a garage band. You'll hear there's layers of it on there, and I hope it's not. Well, I don't believe it's too much. I believe it's just a right for that type of melodic rock that we perform. So I like that bad, but the new album was it's consistent with the theme of home. And many of the songs are about being away from home and returning home and stuff like that. There's one or two odd ones on there, but it's a lot about growing up and stuff like that. So the title track all these years is very much about someone returning home after leaving home a long time ago to visit his dying father. So it's and his brother meets him at the station. So, and that's the theme of the song, about coming home and seeing all of the old friends, asking where you've been and all that sort of stuff. And Liberated, which is one of the singles, was a song that was a similar type of vein, where it was based around a son rather, singing about his father, who worked in the steel mill, and how the way his father never wanted him to follow into that, and wanted his son to be a free spirit and to go and do the things that he never had the opportunity to do. So it's all about those types of relationships, home, family, and stuff like that. I suppose one of the odd ones on there would be "I Won't Be There," which again was a single, which is it was a song really about a manipulative character who's had a relationship with a very young girl in her teens, and he's much older, and it's a story of where she's now grown out of that relationship. She wants to move on, and it's him saying, I'm not going to be there anymore for you. I won't be there. And it's a sort of jealousy song, and a bit of spite in there as well. So again, I like to write about things that are not unknown to people. Ordinary lives, ordinary people, and stuff that people will hit a chord with. People can think, oh, I know something, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's very sort of Springsteen in many ways. I'm a great admirer of Springsteen in the way that he constructs songs. I don't particularly like all of his music. I like some of it. I mean, he's written some absolutely blistering songs, but I like the way he writes about the lives of ordinary people and makes them special. That people it hits a note with people, and it thinks about certain places and certain times, certain cars, and certain girls, and that type of thing. And I think those types of things, resonate with people.
Yeah.
I think for a rock band, I think having that more serious association with your music, that it's commenting on social comment and stuff like that, is probably a bit more relevant. Some of it's, I don't say I don't like love songs, because I do. I don't know any artist who really doesn't write love songs. Yeah. Whether they're sad love songs or whether they're happy love songs. Yeah. They're still love songs. Yeah. So there is a bit of that in there, but I like to think that songs that we've got like between my brother and me, which is the opening track from the album, which is actually was written during the Croat War and the Serbian War, and it was really about about us all being brothers underneath the same sky, and about how futile that whole thing was. Neighbours killing one another. What's that about? People who've grown up with one another, gone to school with one another, firing shots at one another across a wall. It feels bizarre, and yet it's not the only place in the world that sort of thing has happened. And more recently, with Syria and places like that, Iraq. It's so they're the elements of the songs that I write.
Right.
So I like to write lots and lots of things, but I also like to write love songs.
If you were to pick, say, one song, this is a hard task, one song from that album for people just to go out and listen to, maybe on, dare I say, Spotify or anything like that, just to get a feel for the band, the Petal Falls.
I would say one of the singles. I would say either "I Won't Be There" or "Liberated." It would give them a feel for the types of different music that the band play. "Liberated" is a very up-tempo rock song, whereas "I Won't Be There" has a bit of dance drum that runs through it, and then it crashes into a rock song. But it's a ballad. It's a slower type song, so it's a type of ballad. So it gives that will give people an idea of what the Petal Falls music is about. Really.
Okay. So what about future plans? You mentioned a couple more albums that are coming out and ones you're writing. Are there plans for gigs or anything like that? Or
so that's the big question. Since I sort of decided to as it were, reform the Petal Falls as a solo project, the one single thing that people have asked me is, when are you going to tour? When are you going to tour? And to be honest with you, this last 2 years is not the time to tour.
No.
But
No.
for me, there's a lot of variables there. One, I've got a very, very heavy recording workload on and releasing workload, because I don't think people realise just how much work is actually involved. You probably do, because you're in the industry, so you know just how much work has to go into promo, artwork, videos, all that sort of stuff, and it just eats your time up. And then I've got, as I said before, we've got this album coming out in fall, August, September. Then I want to try and get some recording done during that period for the brand new album, which is untitled at the moment. And then I've got to get ready for the final Legacy album, which is in 2023. And somewhere in amongst all that, I've got to try and look at the way up the options as to whether I need to put together a whole band to do this, because to go and do it justice, you need a very large band. And one, I need to be absolutely certain that we can carry it off. Two, you need to have the rehearsal time, and that's probably going to be at least 6 to 8 months of solid rehearsal to get it done. And then on top of that, I need to figure out whether financially it's going to be viable, because for the best will in the world, we seem to have a lot of interest, but I can't gauge that interest on whether people will come and see the band. It's very difficult, because I this is a solo thing. I haven't got a big label sitting behind me. I haven't got any kind of label sitting behind me. Everything that people see about the Petal Falls at the moment has been pretty much me and maybe John helping out to get it all done. And getting it out to radio stations and stuff like that. So trying to judge that is a big thing. Now last year I turned down quite a lot of festivals, mainly because I didn't have an outfit to go out and do it. So I know for a fact that there are people out there who'd want me to play at certain festivals if I got the band back, got a band back together, and it probably would be a whole brand new set of musicians. But it's an unknown. It's not out of the window by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something that needs some serious thought, and it's not something that I can take on lightly, although I do want to do it. The bottom line is I do want to do it, but it needs to be done in the right way. And the last thing I want to do is go and play down the Dog and Duck and 10 people. I've gone past that really.
Heartbreaking.
If someone says to me, do you want to go and do Hammersmith for 8,500 people? Yeah, I'd give that a good shout. But it's really gauging. There's no point doing Hammersmith when 8 people turn up. So it's really about gauging whether the music has got enough interest yet. And I think personally that it's getting there, but it's not there yet. So I'm hoping that the next album, the one that comes out later this year, will be that catalyst that will make people really sit up. I mean, it's fantastic that so many journalists and so many radio stations are playing the music now. It's incredible. It's hundreds. And that's fantastic. But because you're running a podcast, how difficult is it to get what we call large listener numbers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So you can't really gauge how popular something is. I mean, if you gauge it by the streaming numbers, this album at the moment is something like 170,000 streams since it came out. Okay, it's decent. If the streaming companies actually pay musicians for what it costs to actually make their stuff, we'd all be a lot better off. But at the moment,
you've got enough for a couple of beers.
Sorry?
You've got enough for a couple of beers.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I saw that thing with Billy Idol last year where he was in the music press and he was moaning that he got 1 million streams for one of his tracks, and he picked up just about 100 quid. Yeah, unreal. So once he paid everybody else off, he personally got 100 quid for streaming, and it's this same thing. This I hate to say it, but I mean the streaming model is broken. It doesn't work for independent artists. It might well work for Adele, and it might well work for Ed Sheeran, but they're not paid directly by Spotify. They're paid by the record companies, and the record companies take 80% of all the profit from Spotify.
Yeah.
And the rest of the industry is left to scramble for whatever's left, the extra 10% or 20% or whatever. You know, and that equates to peanuts for the vast majority. When you think, you know, that there's a lot of young bands out there who are open to make this their career, and they'll look at what the music industry is doing right now. I think, I can't make money of this. How am I going to live doing this? And that is evident. I mean, there are some fantastic bands out there, and it's just a sad state of affairs that the big guns in the industry are just not interested in supporting the bottom end of it. And that's nothing to do with talent, Dave. Right?
No, it's not.
That's nothing to do with how good or bad these guys are. That's just the industry closing ranks and looking after the big guns and looking after the people they've invested a lot of money into and bugger everybody else.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Okay, Keith. The Petal Falls, all these years, is out now to stream and purchase. Where can they get the CD or USB?
CD, so the CD, you can go to our website, which is thepetalfalls.com, and you'll find a link on there to buy the albums.
Excellent.
And you can buy a CD, or you can buy novelty of novelties, a USB stick with a full color album, all the artwork and everything, and the CD and the USB stick has the videos and artwork and all sorts of bits and extras that the CD can't carry. Although the CD is nice.
Yeah.
Because it's full color and all that sort of stuff. Streaming wise, it's everywhere. Everywhere that you want to go and stream, you'll get it in Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you want to go and get it from. You can get it from streaming. But I would urge everybody who listens to your show, if they want to really support their favourite indie band, then please go and buy their music. Don't stream, because there's no money for them in stream. They earn nothing from it. So if you really want to support that band, buy their merchandise, buy a CD, buy a USB, buy a T-shirt, buy whatever, but go and buy their music. It's the best thing. Even if you download it and buy it, that's much. They earn more money from that than they do than you just streaming it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that one or two companies are beginning to get onto that hook. I think Tidal, more interestingly, have now said that they're gonna, as a subscription, if you name half a dozen bands, I think 70% of your subscription will go to their music.
Yeah, right.
So
I didn't know that.
So fans can actually now sign up and say, well, you know, there are lots and lots of people who sign up who only listen to 3 or 4 bands on Spotify. You know, same on Tidal. So why would it be okay for Warner Brothers to take 8% of what your subscription is and giving it to Ed Sheeran? Well, he's already got enough money.
On that note, Keith, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, mate.
Please take care.